about every single book that I own. Hello and welcome to today's video. Like I said, we're gonna be talking about every single book that I own in this video. We're not gonna go into depth about each book. I just wanna show you them. I love watching videos like this where people just show simply every book they have. They show me the cover. I love to see it, so I figured we would do that today. I honestly don't know how many books that I own. I also don't know how many books that I have on my physical TBR compared to the books that I've read. So I figured at the end of this video, it'd be super fun if we just kind of tallied up everything. We learned how many books I own, how many books are on my physical TBR, and how many books that I've read. So let's just get straight into this. I think we're gonna start with this shelf back here. This is my pride and joy. I love these shelves. Not every book on the shelf I have read, but a good chunk of it I have. So we're gonna come a little closer and we're just gonna talk about every book on these shelves. I'm gonna pull out each book, and yeah, without further ado, let us begin. All right, let's start with my top shelf. This is mainly my Fourth Wing and Sarah J. Maas shelf. I do have Dune right here because I don't know, I just had to put it there. But first, let's start with these little guys. I have this dragon right here, and then this one right here. These are both from Sky's Book Nook on Etsy. She's a friend from high school, and I don't know, they're just super cute. She also made this Hello Fairy Darling bookmark. I don't use it as a bookmark, I just kind of have it on display. But right up here, we have my Barnes & Noble special editions of Crescent City. So we have House of Earth and Blood. I love these covers. We also have House of Sky and Breath, just absolutely stunning. And then right up here, I have House of Shadow and Flame. Again, so stunning. I need to have like a formal place for them because right now they're kind of just there. All right, like I said, I put Dune here. This is my beautiful edition. It is just so stunning. Everything about it is stunning. This is one of my favorite books of all time. And I found this at Half Price Books for like $20. And I think the original editions are $40 to $50. So it was a great steal. We also have the paperback edition of Fourth Wing, and then the paperback edition of Iron Flame. Then I have the holiday special edition of Fourth Wing. This has the bonus content in it. And then I have the original Fourth Wing hardback with the sprayed edges. This is iconic. Then we have Iron Flame with just the black edges. And finally, we have Onyx Storm with the most beautiful sprayed edges ever. Fourth Wing is the only series where I have like every special edition that ever came out because it just is one of my favorite series ever. So now let's transition over here. This is the Sarah J. Maas portion. So right here, I have just a cutesy little bat. I don't remember where that came from. I think maybe it came from this order that I got with the bookmark. I also just have a sticker that says all the Inner Circle's names. I got this at a bookstore. Right here and here are my editions of Throne of Glass. I have every book in this series, and then I have almost every book in this one. The only one I'm missing is Tower of Dawn, but I literally can't find it anywhere online in the original editions. But I think these are the only books that I'm not gonna pull out of my shelves just because, I don't know, I feel like we've all seen them a ton of times. Also, it would just be a big hassle, so I'm not gonna do that. But this is my favorite series ever. And I've read a lot of books, and people always say like once you read more, this series is not going to be your favorite anymore, but it is near and dear to my heart. I've never felt the way I felt while reading this series in any other series ever. I literally felt transported into the world. So I have an extra edition of A Court of Mist and Fury. I need to give that back to my sister because I think that's hers. But then we have, of course, A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is my favorite book ever. A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then A Court of Silver Flames, which I actually don't really like this book. It was way too spicy for me, and I don't like the character Nesta, so it was really hard for me to read that book. I just give it like 3 stars, I think. Honestly, could have been lower, but the last 100 pages were just so insanely good that it's 3 stars for me. But overall, could do without it. So yeah, that is my top shelf. Now we can move on to my middle shelf. Okay, so I lied when I said that Throne of Glass was the only series I wasn't gonna pull out, because on this shelf, there's like all these books that I just simply cannot pull out. But this is my Jennifer Lynn Barnes section. She is one of my favorite authors, my favorite YA author by far. But this is the Inheritance Games series right here. So the Inheritance Games starts out with the Inheritance Games, then it is the Hawthorne Legacy, and finally concludes with the Final Gambit. I also have the special edition of the Inheritance Games. It is so beautiful, and then on the naked hardback, it just has a key. But yeah, I love this series. It's one of my favorites of all time. But then we have the rest of the JLB books. So we have Deadly Little Scandals and Little White Lies. This is an underrated duology, in my opinion. I had so much fun reading this. Then we have her thriller series, which is The Naturals. The Naturals, All In, Killer Instinct, and Bad Blood. I think that Killer Instinct was my favorite one in the series. Then we have these two, which are old books, but they're getting republished, and I have not yet read them. So we have The Ruling Class and Lessons in Power. I think this might be like kind of set at an academic setting, out of school or something. Then we have The Grandest Game, The Brothers Hawthorne, and Games Untold. These also tie in with the Inheritance Games, so you cannot read these books without reading the Inheritance Games, but The Grandest Game is a new series and it is phenomenal. All right, next we have my Magnolia Parks books. I've read the first 4, I still have yet to read this one, but we have Magnolia Parks. These are some of my favorite covers ever. I love these covers. Then we have Daisy Hates, The Long Way Home. This is my favorite book cover ever. I've never seen a book cover I liked more than this one. It's just so beautiful. Then we have The Great Undoing, and then the one I have not yet read. I have a bookmark in it though, and that is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. Another beautiful cover. I can't wait to read this. It's just really long and intimidates me. All right, now as you can see, I have this stack of books. I will pull these out, so give me just a second. All right, so first we have all of my Emily Henry books. We have Book Lovers, Happy Place, Funny Story, which I actually haven't read this one yet. I've read the rest of them. Beach Read, which is my favorite one by her so far. And People We Meet on Vacation. I need to do a reread of this one. But yeah, so far my reading order for what I like best is Beach Read, then Book Lovers, then Happy Place, People We Meet on Vacation, and then I have not yet read Funny Story. We then have my Ansley B. Calloway books. I love this author. She is so underrated. But we have the Picking Peaches series, which are some of the most beautiful covers ever. We have the first book, which is Picking Peaches. Then we have Following Fox, and then Begging Baby, which concludes the series. Also, just look at these spines. They're so beautiful. I love this series. And then we have her newest release, which is Lovewell Lane. I got this as an ARC actually, but you can get it. It just released in August, I believe, or July. I can't remember. But this is like a small town farm romance. It's so cute. And then we have my stunning editions of The Hunger Games. So we have The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, which I think this is my favorite cover, and then The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I also have Sunrise on the Reaping. It's just not in this section because it doesn't match the rest of the books. I hope they release a edition for that book in these beautiful, stunning editions. All right, and then we have my Holly Black books. I am obsessed with Holly Black. I think she is also incredibly underrated, even though obviously we all know the Cruel Prince series, but her other books are so good. I've read so many of them, and these ones are all my favorites, but we have The Stolen Heir, and then the sequel, The Prisoner's Throne. This was so fun. This follows Jude's little brother from The Cruel Prince, so you should read this series first. But yes, we have The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing. And then we have How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. This is all about Cardan. We love Cardan. It has like a bunch of different pictures in it, and I really enjoyed this one. And then we have The Modern Fairy Tales. So this one, it takes place in like the world of fairy. It deals with all the folk and all of that stuff. But this is 3 books combined into one. It's super fun, and I would actually really recommend reading these. And that is that for this shelf. So let's move down to the last one. All right, here's my favorite romance series of all time. I love this series so much. This is the Boys of Tommen. So it starts out with number 1, Binding 13. Actually, let me pull that back. Number 1 is Binding 13. Then we have Keeping 13, Saving 6, Redeeming 6, Taming 7, which is so underrated, and Releasing 10. This series is really controversial because it deals with a lot of dark topics. Also, it's very graphic with these spice scenes, and they are teenagers, so that is one thing that I agree. I'm like, there is no need for all the spice, but it is super easy to just skip over the spice, so that is what I do. Binding 13 is the only book I have without the beautiful rainbow spines, but also I heard that they're no longer doing these spines. They are coming out with completely new editions, and the series is not over, so I'm like super annoyed by that. But anyways, moving on. We have the Lunar Chronicles series, which I actually have not yet read any of these books, but they have really stunning covers, so I will pull these out. I truly don't know what's taking me so long to read these books, but first we have Stars Above, which I think this is a novella, or at least like short stories from the series. Hang on a minute. Then we have Fairest, which I think this is also a novella from the series. We have Winter, which is probably one of my favorite covers I have ever seen. It is so beautiful. Then we have Cress, which is so stunning. I have got to get to this series. I just know I'm going to love it. Then we have Scarlet. These are all fairy tale retellings, I believe, and they are sci-fi. And finally, we have the first book, Cinder. All right, on to my little Brandon Sanderson collection. So I have Elantris, which I have not yet read this book, but I think this is just a standalone in the Cosmere. I also haven't read this book. This is the first book in the Mistborn Part 2 series, but this is, yeah, the Wax and Wane series. This is just the first book. I just found it at Half Price Books, so I got it because it was super cheap. But the Mistborn series, I have read this series, and it is one of my favorite series I've ever read. It is so insanely good. But yeah, we have Mistborn, and then we have book 2 out of order, which is The Well of Ascension. And then book 3, which is The Hero of Ages. This is one of my favorite books I've ever read. Next, we have my favorite book of the year so far, which is The Way of Kings, and I don't even know what to say about it. It is so long. Every book in this series is incredibly long. And then I have the third book in the series, which is Oathbringer. And then I just have the Dune graphic novel. I didn't know where else to put this. Obviously, all my Dune books are kind of just spread out, but this is so good. If you're intimidated by the Dune series, I would recommend picking this one up. And here we have my John Gwynne collection, plus a couple of others. So let's talk about these ones. This is 5 Broken Blades. It is so stunning, has really cool end paper, or what is it called? Edges, wow. Okay, and then we have the sequel, 4 Ruined Realms. And then we get to my John Gwynne books. So I have the Faithful and the Fallen series. Let me pull this out. I plan on getting to these books this year, or at least the first one. So we have the final book, which is Wrath. The third book is Ruin. The second book is Valor. And then the first book is Malice. But yeah, I really want to get to this soon. I'm also really eager to get to these books. So first we have The Shadow of the Gods. What is this series called? The Bloodsworn. So we have The Shadow of the Gods, and then we have The Hunger of the Gods. The third book is out. I just don't yet own it, but I know I'm going to love them. Like I said, this is going to be a really long video. So we are now going to move over to my TBR cart. So this is just kind of like my priority TBR right now. I'm just going to quickly go over these ones. So we have Blood in the Water, Contact, The Dead Romantics, Snow Globe, If We Were Villains, Charlotte Bronte, Jane Eyre, Immortal Longings, Our Infinite Fates. So that's like my September TBR. And then we have my fall TBR, which is The Wide Window, Witch of Wild Things, Rewitched, Crime and Punishment, The Consequences of Falling, The Devil and Sherlock Holmes, White Smoke, Fearful, In the Veins of the Drowning, and finally, Wild Reference. Moving on. All right, so here we have my Percy Jackson / Harry Potter shelf. As you can see, I have a couple of Wicked things. This is also where my TBR books reside, and a plant I am trying to nurse back to health. But we have a cute little Harry Potter pamphlet sticker book that I got. We also have one of these cards that I got from a chocolate frog pack, and then a Harry Potter notepad. Then back here, I have the first 2 books in Harry Potter, but these ones are special because, so we have this one and it has sprayed edges, and then the second book, which I'm currently reading actually, and this also has sprayed edges. And then right here, I have a bunch of different like figurines from Harry Potter, and they all just stack up. They're super cute and fun. But we have the first Harry Potter book in the Mina Lima version. And then we have the 3rd book. Like I said, I'm reading the second one right now. Sorry, the camera's like really close, but I had to set it up like that. And then right here, we have a special edition of Percy Jackson. It is so beautiful. And then we just have Hogwarts right here. It actually lights up. Let me do that. See, I don't know if you can tell it's lit up, but it is. And then of course we have Hedwig right here, and then this is like a little potion that I got for Elijah. Then down here we have where all my Rick Riordan books reside. Let me try to angle the camera a little bit. So first we have all my Percy Jackson books. We have the Lightning Thief. These are all obviously battered. And then we have Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. Then we have the Heroes of Olympus series, which is The Lost Hero, which has a different edition from the rest of the series. Then we have The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, House of Hades, which is my favorite book in the series, and The Blood of Olympus. And then right here, we just have Percy Jackson's Greek Gods. So I've only read these 2 series so far out of all of Rick Riordan's books, but also we have the ones down here. I'm gonna have to switch positions again. It's super awkward. All right, so we have Percy Jackson's Greek Heroes. So we have the Magnus Chase series. This includes the Sword of Summer, the Hammer of Thor, and finally the Ship of the Dead. The last books on this shelf are the Kane Chronicles. This one starts with the Red Pyramid, then the Throne of Fire, and finally the Serpent's Shadow. Let's move on to the next shelf. This is my TBR shelf. I believe every single book on this shelf is from my physical TBR, and I have not yet read it, so let's begin. First, we have this TBR road sign that my mother-in-law got me for, I think, my birthday. I'm actually gonna take this out. So we have some Fairy Loot editions and then just a couple of others. First one being The Dagger and the Flame. This is a Fairy Loot edition. The Sirens is a book that I'm super excited for. It also has really beautiful sprayed edges. Firebird by Juliet Cross. A Language of Dragons. And The Rose Bargain. I have some more hardcovers right here. So we have Metallic Realms. This book looks so cool. The Poppy War. We have The Language of Thorns, which is a book that's in the Grishaverse, I believe, which is like Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, that world. Air by Sabatier. This takes place after An Ember in the Ashes. The Deep Sky, a sci-fi. Where the Dark Stands Still. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. And Vilest Things, which is book number 2 to Immortal Longings. My camera stands really crooked for some reason, but we have this, which is the 3-Body Problem series. I don't know what the series is actually called, but the first book is the 3-Body Problem. The second book is The Dark Forest, and the third book is Death's End. This is just like a really cool sci-fi series that I can't wait to read. And then finally on this shelf we have A Game of Thrones, book number 1. Moving down here, we have fantasy and a ton of sci-fi. I'm really excited to read all of these books on this shelf. So I'm just gonna pull one out and then we can get started. So we have Overgrowth, which is Owl Crate. This is such a beautiful edition. I'm actually gonna show you the hardcover because it's just so pretty. I can't wait to read this. All right, over here we have Revenger, which is like a sci-fi pirate book. Space pirates? Book of Night by Holly Black. Semiosis, I think is how you pronounce that. Last Astronaut by David Wellington. Hero Paradise 1, which is my favorite sci-fi series. I mean, besides Dune. A City on Mars, which is actually like a non-fiction type sci-fi book. If that even makes sense. Antarctica, one of my favorite covers. It's so pretty. The Land That Time Forgot, which is kind of like a classic, I think. Project Hail Mary, I cannot believe I haven't read this. The Kraken Wakes, another really cool cover. Gridlinked, which is something I haven't heard of, but I just feel like I'm gonna love it for some reason. And then we have the Star Wars trilogy, such a cute cover, I love it. We have The Deep, which is a mermaid book I'm super excited for. This is King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. This is in the Grishaverse as well, comes after Six of Crows. The Hobbit, I love this cover. And then The Return of the King. I also have the second book, but I'm currently reading that. Kings of the Wild. Court of Sun, which is like a self-published sci-fi, or no, fantasy. I've just never heard of it. It looks so good though. Equal Rights by Terry Pratchett. And finally for the shelf, we have Howl's Moving Castle. All right, down here we have a bunch of fantasy, and then we just randomly have 5-Star Stranger. But we have When the Moon Hatched. And then the Bridge Kingdom series, which is Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen. Then we have this series, which I just need to get to. It's We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars. We have this series right here. I haven't heard much about it, but I'm excited for it because I read another series by her and it was so much fun. But we have The Last Dragon King, The Broken Elf King, and The Ruthless Fae King. I'm missing one book. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm missing the last book in the series. Then we have the first 2 books in the Veronica Speedwell series. We have A Curious Beginning and A Perilous Undertaking, which is kind of like a cozy mystery series, I believe. And a couple hardbacks. We have Swordheart by T. Kingfisher, one of my favorite covers. It's so pretty. And then we have Nightweaver, which is a pirate book I'm super excited to get to. Let's talk about this book stack right here. We have Firekeeper's Daughter, Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, Totally and Completely Fine, A Letter to the Luminous Deep, Molokai, Of Cages and Crowns, Outline, His Majesty's Dragon, and finally, To Shape a Dragon's Breath. Let's move on to the next shelf. All right, first time we're starting with the bottom shelf on this one. This is my nonfiction section. I do have more nonfiction books, there's not here. But we have Life on the Rocks, which is a book I just read. Between Species, which is celebrating the dolphin-human bond. You'll notice I have a lot of water books. Deep Water, The Book of Eels, In Search of the Old Ones. This is a fantastic book about old ancient trees. I loved it. The Crest of the Wave. The Wager, which is a book I've been wanting to read for so long. I can't wait to read it. Move Like Water, which is my favorite memoir. It's so beautiful. The Earth Speaks, which is a stunning collection of poems. It has like different illustrations throughout it. I highly recommend this. Beautiful Boy, Grayson. I have Herbal Healing for Women. This is just like home remedies for women. It's very interesting. Science 101, Ocean Science. I just love learning about the ocean, so I got this. And finally, The 5 Love Languages. This is pretty good if you're just like getting into a relationship, or I read this when I got married and it was super helpful. All right, we have the middle shelf here. We have another edition of Dune. This is just the movie edition. I pretty much just collect different editions of Dune since it's one of my favorite series ever, and I really like this cover. The Secret History remains one of my favorite books I've ever read. It just left an imprint in my heart. Watch Me by Tahira Mafi. Here is my edition of Sunrise on the Reaping. Books 1 and 2 of a series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning and The Reptile Room. And then we have some classics right here. We have a collection of Edgar Allan Poe poems and short stories. We have The Three Musketeers, The Mysterious Island, Emma, and finally, The Wizard of Oz. And this final shelf I've read every single book on. Here's a cute little skateboarding Stitch. All right, so we have The Book Thief, Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. I really recommend this book. The first 3 books in the Ember in the Ashes series. So we have An Ember in the Ashes, A Torch Against the Night, and A Reaper at the Gates. And then we have the first 3 books in the Lady Trent series, which is A Natural History of Dragons, The Tropic of Serpents, and Voyage of the Basilisks. I love these covers so much. Then we have a couple of Alyssa Sussman books, which is Once More with Feeling and Funny You Should Ask. I love these 2 books, super underrated romances. Only one more bookshelf to go. So right here I have The Summer I Turned Pretty. We have this cute little guy, and then we have this really beautiful snow globe. These books are truly my pride and joy. I love this series so much. So we have The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and finally We'll Always Have Summer. The naked hardbacks on these are insane. I will show you. So for The Summer I Turned Pretty, it is Belly and Jeremiah. Then It's Not Summer Without You, we have Belly and Conrad. And finally, We'll Always Have Summer has the 3 of them on it. These are just so stunning. I actually accidentally ordered these books and I tried to cancel them, but by the time that Fairy Loot got back to me, I already was resigned to the fact that I bought them, so I kept them. Moving down here, we have some really fun YA books. We have this dolphin paperweight that I believe my best friend Kalani got me years ago. And then we have a Maleficent succulent pin that I got from Disneyland. So right here, we have one of my favorite series, the Chaos Walking series. I need to do a reread. But we have The Knife of Never Letting Go, The Ask and the Answer, and Monsters of Men. All right, this is the Leia Stone series I was talking about earlier. So book number 1 is House of Ash and Shadow. Book number 2 is House of War and Bone, and the 3rd book is House of Light and Ether. Then we have the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which is Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. I rated all of these 5 stars. And then we have Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which I also rated both of these 5 stars. I am obsessed with Leigh Bardugo. Moving on to the next shelf, we have this really cute candle I got from my work a few years ago. We have a couple of Stephanie Garber series. So, oh wait, actually up here, hidden away, we have Dracula, my favorite classic ever. I love this book. I don't know why it's hidden away, just like no space for it. Okay, so we have the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy with Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, and A Curse for True Love. I read these all in one day. And then we have the Caraval trilogy, which I think is better than the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, but people mostly like this series better. I don't know. I really like this. So we have Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. Then we have the beautiful Powerless series. We have Powerless, Reckless, Fearless, and Powerful, the novella. Over here we have Metal Slinger, which is such a good romantasy. I loved this. Moving down here we have some sci-fi and then just some random books, but we have a candle I also got from my work. We have Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, insanely good. Killers of the Flower Moon, this is my favorite nonfiction author. Dungeons and Drama, a couple of Ashley Poston books. We have A Novel Love Story, which is my favorite romance, or like rom-com. In the 7 Years Slip, And then I just have book 1 in Red Rising. I read the whole trilogy and all of them were 5 stars, but I listened to them, so I'm slowly just gonna be collecting them when I find them used. This was my favorite sci-fi series I was talking to you guys about. It is Paradise 1, so I think the series name is actually called Red Space. So the first book is Paradise 1, and then the second book is Revenant X. Then we have an insanely good YA sci-fi series, which is the Illuminae files. So we have Illuminae, Obsidio, Gemina. The cool thing about these books is that it's like mixed media, so it's like you're getting, I don't even know how to explain it, but you can see it's really cool. So down here we have all my anime, and then we have My Name is Barbara, which is Barbara Streisand's memoir. It is so good. But I have all of my Attack on Titan and all of my Spy Family. I'm not gonna pull them out because it's just like, it's too much. But this is my favorite cover for Spy Family because I love the dog. Time for the weird angle again, sorry about that. But down here we have some Dune books. What do you know? So we have Dune Messiah, and we have God Emperor of Dune. I am slowly collecting these books because I read them and then for some reason I got rid of them. So now I have these ones. They're just hanging out right down here. But down on this last shelf we have Charlotte's Web, my favorite childhood book. I reread this year and it was so much fun and so sad. The Great Gatsby, The Nursery, an incredible literary fiction about motherhood and depression, postpartum depression. Shark Heart, which is the most devastating book I've ever read in my life. The Fury by my favorite thriller author. A Single Thread of Moonlight, an underrated book. So incredibly good. Ocean Worlds, an incredible sci-fi. Dragon Fruit. We have the Divine Rivals duology, so we have Divine Rivals and then Ruthless Vows. And just because these books are down here hidden away doesn't mean I like them any less. Some of these are my favorite books of all time, like, for example, The Divine Rivals. These are one of my favorite books ever. The Christmas Guest, a Christmas classic in this house. And then we have the only George R.R. Martin books that I've ever read, which is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and Fire and Blood. And then on my living room tables, I have a few more books. So I have my current read, which is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Kingdom of Ash, which I need to pick this up again. I made it like 100 pages into this. This is a reread, but it's just been like hanging out here for a couple months. The Odyssey, which I am slowly making my way through. In His Image, I'm reading a chapter of this a day. It's like a Christian kind of devotional book. And then my other current read is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I hope I didn't forget any books, but I might have, I don't know. But I'm gonna count up all of the books and we'll see what the numbers are. I did miss a few books. That's because up here, I have the Little Book of Shells. And then up here, I have Ocean Anatomy, Wildlife Anatomy, and Nature Anatomy. I've only read this one so far. And then over here, walk with me. I'll set you down on the table. I have The Two Towers, A Sky Beyond the Storm, Monday's Not Coming, and The Jasad Heir. I think that's it. Now that we've gone through all my shelves, we've messed up the whole house. Ooh, I'm gonna have to put so many books away. Anyways, now it is time to talk about the numbers. So I did the math, and the number of books that I have read is 185, which I think is pretty good. And then the number of books that I have not yet read is 128. I need to start dwindling that number down. That's absurd. And in total, I own 313 books. That's if I did all the math correct, which I really hope I did. That took a really long time, and to reward myself, I'm gonna sit on the couch and read for the rest of the day. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if there's any books that you saw that I have not yet read that I just really need to read. I would love some recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. I will just see you in my next video. Goodbye.